Ada TV pintar di rumah dan nak Astro kedua? Hanya RM14.99. Jangan tunggu lagi. Layari laman Astro Rewards sekarang.
Good evening, I'm Soraya Mia. This is AWANI Tonight. Lawyer urges equal citizenship matter to be brought to Parliament. Frustrated delivery riders get to meet Transport Minister on Monday. More on that coming up. The Court of Appeal ruled that children born overseas to Malaysian women and foreign spouses are not entitled to Malaysian citizenship by operation of law. In a 2-1 majority, the 3-person bench allowed the appeal by the 3 appellants, the government, Home Ministry, and the National Registration Department Director General. The majority ruled that the word father in the second schedule of Part 2 of the Federal Constitution meant the biological father and cannot be extended to include the mother or parents. They said it was up to Parliament, not the court, to rewrite the Constitution. Last year, the Kuala Lumpur High Court declared that children born overseas to Malaysian mothers and foreign fathers are automatically entitled to citizenship. The respondents in the matter are 6 Malaysian mothers and family rights group Family Frontiers. However, the Court of Appeal said the citizenship already granted to the children of the 6 Malaysian mothers will remain, pending disposal of their appeal to the federal court. Many affected Malaysian mothers and their overseas-born children were torn with the Court of Appeal's decision to overturn a previous landmark decision by the High Court. Affected by this, Niba Zaidi, who has been fighting for her Malaysian citizenship for 13 years, but to no avail, pleaded to the government to withdraw the appeal.
You know, as somebody who's been here for 13 years and who loves Malaysia, right, who wants to be part of this country, who wants to have voting rights, who wants to do everything as a Malaysian, I think they don't understand the emotional trauma as well that we go through just because of this whole procedure that's taking so long, the processes. Even if you want us to apply through Article 15, you could make the process faster as well, right? But they're not doing that. They're being discriminatory. So I really hope that the government sees that here are appeals and actually does something about it, because you can't just say that we want 2 citizenships. No, I'm happy to give up my other citizenship to be a Malaysian as well, because this is my home, right? And I know that a lot of other people feel the same way. There are kids who are 3 years old. There are babies who are stateless, right? Because of this rule. And they need to see the trauma it's causing, the impact it's causing on families. Families are being torn apart just because of this. So I hope the government hears us and takes back the appeal.
Still on the topic of equal citizenship in Malaysia, lawyer Beatrice Chin says Parliament is the best platform for amendments to the federal constitution instead of the court. She urges parliamentarians to act in haste to find a conclusion to the matter.
And the problematic provisions like this, exactly this, it has to be amended to provide for equality, especially women right now. And that's what the case this morning actually tried to go for. So what is truly frustrating and disappointing, honestly, is that I think parliamentarians actually could have very well easily amended this particular provision without leaving it to the court to have a interpretive sort of exercise, right? So it's not really fair to leave it to the courts to ensure that women are not discriminated when they are actually in the position to prevent such discrimination. So in my opinion, even though that they are now most likely going to appeal this and it's going to go to the federal court, apart from the case being heard in the federal court now, members of parliament need to act on their side with haste, with urgency, just to amend the constitution to fix this problem. So it's not just about the case. The case is one aspect of it. There could be another case that can come on, for God knows how long when time comes. But if the parliamentarians, if the parliament is the one that fixes this problem, then that's it. That would essentially solve the problem that we already are trying to change as we did in today morning.
In other news, Meta, the parent company behind Instagram and Facebook, has removed over 600 accounts for violating the policy against coordinated inauthentic behavior. Its report alleges that most of these fake accounts are part of a troll farm to manipulate public discourse, with investigations finding links to the Malaysian police force. The network of fake accounts are said to have posted memes in Malay that voice support for the current government coalition. On Facebook, this network managed pages, including those posing as independent news outlets, promoting the police and criticizing the opposition. Many of these accounts are also said to have spent up to $6,000 for ads on Facebook and Instagram, paid for in ringgit. According to Meta, the network was found after reviewing information on a small portion of this activity, initially suspected to have originated in China. While those involved attempted to conceal their identity and coordination, investigations found links to the Royal Malaysia Police. To date, Meta has removed 596 Facebook accounts, 180 pages, 11 groups, and 72 accounts on Instagram. Meanwhile, around 23,000 Indonesian domestic workers have been approved and processed for matching with employers in Malaysia. Indonesian Ambassador Hermono says the workers will be arriving in groups from mid-August once a pilot project is underway through the one-channel system, OCS. The first batch of 8 domestic workers arrived on Monday, the first to be employed under a new agreement inked by Malaysia and Indonesia. The two countries previously signed the Memorandum of Understanding on the Employment Act protection of Indonesian domestic workers on April 1st. Through the MOU, domestic workers will work under their respective job scope, earn a minimum wage of 1,500 ringgit, and enjoy 1 day off a week. On July 28th, both countries, via a joint statement, agreed to integrate the existing system between the Malaysian Immigration Department and the Indonesian Embassy in Kuala Lumpur for the recruitment of Indonesian domestic workers. 5 chicken feed millers have been found to have entered into an anti-competitive agreement within the chicken industry. The Malaysia Competition Commission (MyCC) says these companies increased the price quantum of poultry feed between early 2020 and mid-2022. According to MyCC CEO Iskandar Ismail, investigations revealed that the sensitive commercial information shared between the enterprises was seen to potentially distort competition in the market. A proposed decision has been issued against the involved enterprises for infringing Section 4 of the Competition Act 2010, Act 712. However, he stressed that the findings were provisional and that these firms cannot be assumed to have broken the law yet. The 5 companies have been given 30 days to respond to the results of the probe. Following this, a final decision is set to be announced sometime in October. If the companies are found guilty, MyCC can impose a fine of up to 10% of their worldwide turnover rate during the period of infringement. Representatives of delivery riders are set to meet with Transport Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wee Ka Siong on Monday. This is after Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob acknowledged the strike planned by riders in demand of legitimate status. Ismail Sabri's political secretary Khairul Nizam Muhammad Zuldin said today that more engagements will follow, including a meeting with the Human Resource Ministry following concerns by Ismail Sabri. Delivery riders demanded for the government to recognize them as legitimate employees with all the rights and benefits and no longer as gig workers. They claim to have submitted a memorandum to Human Resources Minister Datuk Seri M. Saravanan on July 17, 2020, and he has given his assurance that the matter would be resolved, but until today, it remains unresolved. Food delivery riders went on strike for 24 hours since Thursday night to protest low delivery fees. Time for a quick break. We'll be right back.
COVID-19 memperlihatkan kepada kita betapa pantasnya adaptasi teknologi di kalangan PKS kita. Niaga AWANI dan Unified Business akan menyelami perjalanan kebangkitan semula PKS kita melalui segmen Jiwa SME setiap Selasa dan Khamis untuk inspirasi anda.
Transformasikan perniagaan dengan Unified Business, rakan digital pilihan anda. Hubungi kami sekarang dan jimat sehingga 50%. Jom Unified Business.
Peningkatan harga barangan yang dipengaruhi oleh pelbagai faktor mengakibatkan Malaysia juga terpaksa berdepan dengan tempias tersebut.
PDRM mengesahkan tidak menerima sebarang laporan penculikan dan juga penjualan organ kanak-kanak di negara jiran.
Filem Mat Kilau ini boleh saja dianggap biopik terhebat alaf ini.
Welcome back. On the international front, United States House Speaker Nancy Pelosi vows that China will not succeed in isolating Taiwan by preventing U.S. officials from traveling there. She made the remarks in Tokyo, the final leg of her Asia tour.
The Chinese have tried to isolate Taiwan, keeping them most recently from the World Health Organization by not even letting their participation be on the agenda of the World Health Agency, whatever that makes these determinations. They may try to keep Taiwan from visiting or participating in other places, but they will not isolate Taiwan by preventing us to travel there. We've had high-level visits, senators in the spring, a bipartisan way, continuing visits, and we will not allow them to isolate Taiwan. They are not doing our travel schedule.
Pelosi's brief and unannounced trip to Taiwan this week added to rising tensions between the U.S. and China. The visit prompted Beijing to hold live fire drills in waters around Taiwan, with 5 missiles landing in Japan's exclusive economic zone. Pelosi claimed her visit was being used as an excuse for China to carry out the strikes, adding that her trip was never about changing the regional status quo. Over in Thailand, at least 13 people were killed and 35 injured when a fire broke out at a crowded music pub in Thailand's Chonburi province, about 160 kilometers southeast of Bangkok. Authorities say the cause of the fire is still under investigation. Videos circulating social media showed people running out of the pub's entrance, with several having their clothes on fire. All of the victims so far have been identified as Thai nationals. Concerns have long been raised about Thailand's lax approach to health and safety at its entertainment venues. The incident comes 13 years after pyrotechnics started ablaze at a New Year's party at a Bangkok nightclub, killing 66 and injuring more than 200. North Korea confirmed today that all of its fever patients have recovered, marking the end of its first COVID-19 wave. The state media claimed the country has entered a definite phase of stability, while health experts cast doubts over the real COVID situation in the country. The reclusive state never confirmed the number of people tested positive for COVID, but it said around 4.77 million fever patients fully recovered. Only 74 people have died since April, with no new fever cases reported since July 30th. In a sign of easing outbreaks, the ruling Workers' Party hosted a large mask-free event in late July, while many games including football and swimming are set to return. North Korea confirmed its first ever case of COVID-19 in mid-May, with many worrying for its largely unvaccinated population and reports of medicine shortage. Despite WHO's target of eliminating hepatitis by 2030, it is estimated that millions are currently living with the disease, unaware of their diagnosis. Tonight on Consider This, we ask our guest about Malaysia's efforts to test, treat, and cure hepatitis. That's all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Soraya Mia, and we'll see you next week.